All systems go. Clear for liftoff.
What is going on? Tweezy, Sean Sullivan, Wins a Lot, Jacob, Chris, Alan, Kevin, Mike, Beetlebane, Tom Brady, Trisket, and my man Hoop. Hoop, throw it to you right away. Saturday morning, 2-game slates. Nothing better. Christmas right around the corner. Plenty of football, plenty of basketball, plenty of money to be made in these next couple days. How you doing today?
Yeah, a lot going on, the college football stuff. I mean, not big into the college football, but I mean, that's going, and we obviously have it covered from a DFS perspective, NFL, NBA, the NFL stuff, we talked about it. So many of these, showdown slates, 2-game slates. Next Saturday's a 3-game slate, which we'll have a show for. I just like these slates are fun, these 2-gamers. I mean, it's obviously we love the showdown stuff, but these 2-gamers and 3-gamers, it's a unique dynamic. We don't get an opportunity to really play them all that often throughout the season. We've had a couple Monday night 2-game slates, but from here on out, there's going to be quite a few of these and love them. Saturday afternoon, we get to watch some NFL, and then we got the full slate tomorrow as well. In terms of doing content, it kind of gets a little difficult because it's just one right after another. But we'll obviously have you covered over here. Our team's ready to roll for the main slate as well. But the 2-game slates are fun. Excited to talk through it. One, I guess, bit of news potentially, the Rashad Bateman situation, ankle injury. They said he's like in a walking boot, but it sounds like he's going to play. So that's like the only thing we're really waiting on. And it's fun slates, and excited to talk through it here with you.
Yeah, always love talking through these like 2 games. It's not quite showdown where it's pure game theory, but it's a lot more game theory than it is on a main slate, stuff like that. So I'm excited. It is like a dupe kind of game, but you do have a little more options. You talked about college football. Yeah, I don't know how I forgot about college football right away. Kim Gold, what's up, Kim? Always appreciate you. Got me thinking, MMA today. It's bittersweet. I always do appreciate this month. MMA's a grind every single week. Takes a lot of time, so I do like it off, but then it gets to a Saturday without it on the screen, and then I wish that we did have it. So shout out, Kim, no MMA. We have college football, though. As you can see right here, NFL will have a million slates going on, like Hoop said. Again, right now we will be sharing the Stone. All of the content is up, though. We will have showdown content, showdown core report for the second game today, the Baltimore game that locks at 4:30 Eastern. Of course, college football is going. Check that out. PGA will be back before you know it. NBA, big boy slate today. Shout out to the team. Rio, Ham, BJ, NHL still going. MMA before you know it. We still do have BF50 up, Poop. Gets you 50% off. Hold on. Where is the graphic? There we go. Gets you 50% off all access if you do want college football. College football comes with the NFL package, just the football package. If you want MMA when it comes back, if you want NBA, again, a lot going on today. Christmas Day is always a monster day. NHL, shout out to Big Nades. When PGA comes back very shortly, you can't get a better deal than BF50. 50% off. Does include Shiptimizer if you want that as well. Again, football package, $99 rest of the season. Does include college football. The team absolutely stays crushing. Smarty, Hammock, and them. Shout out to you guys. If you do want the Optimizer, Shiptimizer for NFL, that is only $30 extra. Again, so many of these slates. I believe next Saturday we have another 2-game slate. Playoffs, so a lot of small slates. Showdown content, of course, as always. Anything, Hoop, you want to add to that? I will go back to sharing the Stone. Otherwise, first thoughts on this little 2-game slate.
Yeah, it's a good time, obviously, to get in with all access stuff because PGA is right around the corner, and we have a team very, very dedicated to PGA. Obviously, combined forces with DGen last year, and that was really big for the PGA product. I mean, him and his team do a phenomenal job. Not only with Showdown, I mean, the Showdown stuff I think is industry leading. Like by far, you saw it last season in those Showdown streets where the SHIPIT Nation logos, and obviously we have some of those combined logos, the SHIPIT Nation with the DGens, always at the top of the leaderboard, and it's for one main reason: the Stone and the projections. Like we actually go in round by round, analyze the situation, and come up with projections, where a lot of sites are just rolling their main slate projections all the way through Showdown, which is like insane because some rounds where 30 mile an hour gusts in the afternoon and nothing in the morning, or vice versa. And they're not adjusting. They're just rolling all the way through. So it's a dedicated team to PGA all the way through round one through four. So we're very excited about that. And this is kind of funny. Tambo a no-show because it's maybe Mahomes' day. We'll have to see. He's always never Mahomes, but on the 2-game slate, I'd be curious to get his take. And all his stuff will be up on the website, but I did find that to be a little bit funny there.
Absolutely. Got to say hi to a couple others trickling in. Joanne's in here. Eric, Justin, Michael, Nick, Alan, the man Hoopster, Chris, Philly Phantom, what's going on? NFL's crushing it. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you, Chris. Shout out to the team. Appreciate your support. G-Butt in here. Langley in here as well. All we ask, like button, subscribe button, helps us out a ton. I'm excited. Usually we don't do these shows this close to lock. I got in late last night, so need a little extra sleep, but I've already kind of have my rough plan on what I'm going to do for tournaments, but talking through with you, I think I have 55 teams or something. I'm going to make a little adjustments. Usually I don't quite have as far in the process as I am right now. Sometimes inactives on Sunday hit, showdown slates 5 hours before I wait for them. But today I feel really pretty good about it and a lot further ahead. So excited to talk you through it, maybe change a couple things here or there. My main takeaways, of course, it is a staggered start time. The first game will end before the second one starts. So right away, late swap, very, very big on a 2-game slate like that. Whether you're blocked from first place and there's a pivot you think that can get there, all your chalk bust, and you need to get a little different for min cash value. Whether your team's doing solid, maybe you have one snowflake in there, so you can't fully ship, but you still don't want to go completely crazy because you do want that min cash equity, even though you can't fully get to the top. So that's one thing that stood out to me. We'll get into quarterback shortly. We'll do positions. I know really clear, though, I don't like Russ much. It ain't really a Mahomes day for me. I will be very concentrated with Lamar, CJ Stroud. I guess that's a good segue right there. Again, I just gave mine. Lamar, been on the Ravens all year. Love his floor ceiling combo with his legs. You can play him with Derrick Henry, of course. You can also go the route, get a little leverage off of Derrick Henry if you want to fade him on Lamar teams. Hope it's all him. Mahomes has just been awful in DFS-wise. Now he was in a pretty high sprained ankle. He is playing, though. I mean, if he's not using his legs as much, I think they try and win a boring game at Arrowhead. I will take an underweight approach there. Russell Wilson, he burned me once. He's going to be low owned, but I mean, I just don't think I think Lamar or CJ puts up a big enough score where I want one of those two. I don't even know who I'd prefer, Russ or Mahomes, if having to pick at ownership. I don't know. I guess I'll throw that to you, but you break down quarterback. I really don't like either. It's Lamar, Stroud, and then it's a big fall off. How do you see QB?
Yeah, I think I'm on the same page with you. And, it's probably what the field does. Like, the Russ stuff, no one's going to really like Russ. But on these 2-game slates, you can gain an advantage on the field by just totally taking him out of your player pool. We have him coming in at 13%. So if you are certain in your head that it's not Russ, you take him out of your player pool, you're playing rake free almost essentially. And, that 13% can go a long way. Whereas on a main slate, Russ is probably, 2% or something, and fading him does nothing for you. But on this 2-game slate, if you don't like him, don't play him. Don't just get a little bit, say, all right, he's 13%, I'll take 5 or 6%. Just take him out. And, that's something I'm definitely looking at doing today. I'll see when I go through. I'm going to finalize all my teams after the show. But it's just a really bad spot for him on the road against the Ravens. I think, this is a really good spot, I think, for the Ravens to get rolling. Really like their team. I know we have our bet who goes deeper in the playoffs. Ravens, Lions, you've run phenomenally well with the injury situation in regards to that bet. But something tells me the Ravens just go on a run. Like their disappointment in the last few seasons, they've always been like the top seed or the 2 seed or something. Now it's like
they're winning the Super Bowl hoop. I'm telling you,
man, I don't hate it. I mean, honestly, I know we have our bet, but I'm not necessarily taking the L. But I like the Ravens to kind of just roll here a little bit, and I think it could start like today, like dominance potentially, and no one's really talking about it. The Bills are the talk of the AFC. Everyone still has the Chiefs kind of in the back of their head. I think they could just kind of make a run. I think it starts today, and Russell Wilson not having George Pickens is huge. I mean, look at who he's throwing the freaking ball to. Calvin Austin, Van Jefferson, Mike Williams, who nobody wants, and then Freiermuth is probably the most stable part of the passing attack. You beat the Ravens by passing the ball, and I just don't know if they're going to be able to do that today. I just think it's a really good spot for the Ravens. I think the Ravens defense is in a good spot, and Russ, I just don't have, any interest in, to be honest with you today. And then the Mahomes stuff is very interesting. It's funny, as you were saying that, the video kind of came out. I think it was Schefter who put it out there. Mahomes rolling in. It was Ian Rappaport rolling into the stadium, like no limp whatsoever, just cruising in. I mean, I am anticipating him to be like 100% healthy. I mean, he didn't miss any practices. Like the dude's strong. He's going to play. But in terms of fantasy, yes, they will win these nasty games 100% of the time if they could. They have no problem. He doesn't need to go out there and put up 300 yards and 3 touchdowns for it to be a successful game for the Chiefs. We've been talking about them all season long. They're totally fine with the nasty wins. And on a short week, obviously they're playing Wednesday, Christmas Day. Like there's nothing they would love more than to win this game like 17-10 or 14-10 or whatever it may be. So he is my third favorite. I'm with it. I just want to get as much Lamar Jackson as possible today. He's the most expensive quarterback. The ownership is up there. He's going to be the highest owned. We have him at 35%. He's substantially more expensive than the other quarterbacks. That's the one reason why this ownership is in check a little bit. But it just seems like we saw it on that 2-game slate. Was it on Monday where the winning score at quarterback was like 13?
They all sucked.
They all sucked. They're all terrible. And we didn't love them. We talked about it on the show, but it's like, what are you supposed to do? You gotta play one. He could dust the field today, I feel like, at this position, just absolutely dust it. So I want a lot of him. CJ would be my second. I don't have as much of a difference between CJ and Mahomes as you do. I'm fine kind of being equal on those two. I could see them both getting like 15 fantasy points or something along those lines. If I'm choosing one, it's definitely Stroud over Mahomes, but I likely end up pretty similar in terms of ownership on those two. But the main focus for me at the quarterback position is I just want to try to get as much Lamar as I can. And then the hope is that big gap from Lamar to Mahomes in terms of pricing. It's what, 1,800 and then 2,200 down to Stroud. A lot of people go in there, start building their teams like, man, like I want that extra 2,000 and drop down. So maybe the ownership gets held in check even a little bit more. That's my hope. But I do want a lot of Lamar, probably no Russell Wilson. Then I'm fine with, Stroud and Mahomes will be my fallback. Wherever I end up on those guys, I'm fine with. I'm not going to like prioritize one over another. Obviously, I'm going to be playing both with likely fading Russ, but it's kind of where I'm at the quarterback position.
I unchecked Russ when you were talking. I just don't see any way that I need to really get there today.
Yeah. I mean, and it's like, yeah, people are always low some quarterback, blah, blah, blah. I've been doing this shit for years. People are going to still play some of Russ. Like, he's going to be in there. He's going to get some ownership. It's a 2-game slate. If he is between 10 and 15%, like, you're eliminating a big chunk by just going and taking them out. I built my teams. I didn't build my teams. I did a little bit of a run last night to kind of get some content up and didn't X them out, just saw with all my other priorities. I want X amount of this guy. I want X amount of this guy. How much Russ did I get? I still got like 5% of Russ with getting everything else that I wanted. So for me, again, I'm not going to leave in 5% of Russ. I'm just taking his ass out. So I'll likely just be fading him.
Yeah. And like you look at the stone, F pass D, A rush D, you're probably like, what's going on? A lot of it comes for me is just like, I do like Lamar a lot. I like CJ. I want to be way overweight on both, even as the highest like projected ownership is Lamar. But the Pickens stuff is the biggest thing for me. It feels like when Russ gets there, it's so much easier with Pickens because it's one ball, 60 yards, and Pickens catches a touchdown. And right there, Russ is already getting you like 8 points. It's hard to see that with Van Jefferson, Big Mike, Calvin Austin, etc. I think they're going to want to run the football, keep the Ravens off the field, play a small game. If they do cover, if they win, like I don't think it's a 38-24 game or something like that. So, yeah, quarterback's clear for me. Lamar, tier of his own. Give me CJ number 2, big gap, Mahomes, no Russ. And what I like about Lamar too, like this could even be 40%. Maybe we are a little light. But with Lamar's rushing upside, you can play him in a variety of ways. You can single stack him. You can double stack him. You can triple stack him still. He can throw the football. You can play him with Derrick Henry. You can play him without Derrick Henry. So just give me why I think the best quarterback, the highest ceiling. And the last thing I want to note, and then I'll go to you if you have anything at quarterback. I'll just take us into running back. Pricing isn't really hard on this slate. It's really soft. Like look at the receiving room for the Chiefs. Look at the receiving room for the Ravens. Receiving room for the Steelers. Nobody above 6K besides Nico at wide receiver. The tight ends, all of them are free. You can play 2 on a couple teams, like Noah Gray, I think's in play, likely Andrews, etc. 2 tight end builds. I just don't think salary is really tight. So give me 20 plus, 25 plus upside over like 16 from Russ, which you would take 16 as you see we have him projected at 14.2. So actually 2 things before I throw it to you. Who wanted to shout out Dakota, use BF50, the promo code, $5 and a 750 using the tools. Nice. That is awesome stuff. To you, and then where was another? Oh, someone asked. I would go Lamar over Baker. Usually we don't answer these questions, but it is a big week for home leagues and stuff like that. Best ball. Shout out to everyone out there. I keep saying it. All I need today is Mixon. Not my favorite matchup, but we will see. Shout out to everyone out there. And I am fine locking him, but obviously know the risk that comes with it. Usually you play more teams to diversify your portfolio more. If you really do feel it's all in Lamar, you know the risk. If he is the winning quarterback, you can do it. So what would you say? And then take
I said I don't hate that. Yeah, I think that's fine. Here's a real question for you. Title: Mahomes or Penix?
And that's a really, really
right. It is
solid question. I still think it's probably Mahomes.
Yeah, I don't know, man. That's close.
Really close. I don't love either.
Yeah, maybe find something else if possible. But I think I might actually lean Penix. I don't know. Yeah, that's a tough one. It's
Let's
weird.
Let's see what the props are quick.
Yeah, it's a weird situation, but man, like the floor on Mahomes is truly low. If they find success on the ground, like they'll continue to do it. They'll absolutely continue to do it. To me, honestly, it really doesn't have anything to do with the Mahomes injury thing. I don't even think he's injured. I think he's totally fine, to be honest with you. Like, he didn't miss any practice. Like the only group of people that thought there was a chance he missed was like the media. Like the team never indicated that he was really going to miss anything. Didn't miss a practice. Like I think he's totally fine. Like totally fine. Probably a little bit sore, but it's not going to hamper him at all, in my opinion.
Man, that's so crazy to think like you're debating a Mahomes Penix, like you said, but Mahomes has been so bad. I still think I lean Mahomes at home a little bit, but I'm not excited.
What's the running upside for Penix? Well, I mean, does he run a lot or not a ton?
I not too much. I doubt his props anything over like 15.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah. No, I hate how they have like the alternate line. 7.5 is his rushing prop.
Oh, okay, yeah. So there's not much.
He has a good arm for sure, though. Lefty can absolutely sling it.
Yeah.
Running back, if you have nothing else at the quarterback position, take us away as you see Joe Mixon comes in with a lot of ownership, but a lot of running backs getting ownership on this slate.
Yeah, not a great position. I mean, someone posted earlier. He's like, I can't remember. The comment was very early. I do want to find it. Looks as somewhat interesting. Is in regards to the tight ends. Like, I just want to play as many tight ends as possible. Yeah. And it's like by far, wish I could play four tight ends. Tom Brady is great. I agree. Like, man, it's crazy where tight end is probably the strongest position. Henry's good. I mean, good spot. They're favored by a touchdown at home. He should have success here. Joe Mixon gets a ton of work. He's fine. After that, though, it gets pretty gross. Like Pacheco at 6K really hasn't gotten a lot going since coming back, but it is a pretty good spot. Do they lean on the run? Yeah, but he has a low projection for Pacheco, 10, sitting at 10 fantasy points. That's a low number. In terms of pricing, you come down, you got Najee Harris, 7-point underdogs on the road against a team that's very good against the run. Do you want to do that? Jaylen Warren, if they're trailing 5.2K, maybe he's the answer. He stands out to me as a pretty solid play. If you are buying in to what I said earlier, where you think the Ravens take care of business here, which I think is the case, Jaylen Warren is probably a pretty strong play at 52. Kareem Hunt, 5K. Justice Hill, 4,800. it's a tough position after those top two. Top two are clear plays. Probably want to get as much of them as you can. The workload's very stable. But after those two, a lot of question marks. And I think my initial lean, and I got to go in and obviously build a little bit, but I think it's Jaylen Warren. I'm playing into this game script where I think the Ravens take care of business here. And if that is the case, Jaylen Warren should be the one to benefit. Other situation to kind of take advantage of. If you are going light on Mahomes, you kind of talked about it. You don't really like Mahomes all that much. I don't love him. I'm going to play him out of necessity, though. Probably have to take a chance on Pacheco and go overweight on Pacheco. Like if you're going way underweight or even fading Mahomes, I think you just by design have to take a shot, overweight stance, I'll say, on a guy like Pacheco, and probably have to include Kareem Hunt a little more than you want to as well. I mean, the story of this position, though, it's very difficult after those top two. You know, Henry to me is the number one, Mixon number two, and then after that, it's a little bit of a mess. And you're going to have to play these guys, especially if you're 150, and you're going to have to play, that next group of guys. But for me, the initial lean would probably be Jaylen Warren. I am going to have some Pacheco though as well, because again, if they find success on the ground, they're going to keep going with it. So I'm going to play him. And Jaylen Warren will probably be my two highest in that next group of guys. But there's no doubt about it. I mean, it's a tough position. I mean, we know the two. Everyone knows the two. They're going to be highly owned. We got Derrick Henry at 55%. We got Joe Mixon at 63%. Like, so, the field knows what's up here. But it's that next group, I think, where you can potentially make some money. For me, it's going to be probably overweight on Warren and Pacheco. And then I'll probably be underweight on Najee. And then, in terms of like Kareem Hunt and Justice Hill, whatever I need to kind of make everything else work is where I'm at with those guys.
I see it pretty similar. Like, it's gross, but I know I will be playing Kareem Hunt, Justice Hill, and I'll probably be overweight. And the reason for that is I'm just going to have so much Lamar, just like I'll have a lot of 2 tight end teams. Like, I need salary at the end of the day, but like the Kareem Hunt stuff definitely is not comfortable by any means. I'll be playing Pacheco too. I like both of them for the exact reason you said. If I don't like Mahomes, if I think they run the football a lot and take the air out, I mean, last week, Pacheco, let me pull it up quick. His third game back, it was pretty much a 3-way split at running back. Kareem Hunt and Pacheco got 28 snaps. P. Ryan got 19 snaps. I'm not playing P. Ryan. I do think if they do play from the lead, 3.5-point favorites, it's pretty much Pacheco Hunt. Maybe Pacheco gets a little more work as they ease them back, but I don't think it's like fully Pacheco 80-20 or anything by any means. At their price tags, playing not playing Mahomes, and at their ownership, like 6.6% is absolutely nothing on a 2-game slate. If he falls in the box once at 5K and Lamar goes off, or Nico or Henry, and it's a stars and scrubs build, I'm good there. I think I even prefer Justice Hill, and I think a lot of that has to do with I'm playing Lamar, and Justice Hill makes a lot of sense on Lamar teams with his pass catching upside. Or if they somehow are trailing Lamar, obviously people aren't expecting that. I'm not either. Justice can get some more work. It was weird. Someone brought it up. Like Derrick Henry didn't get much work, or what felt like much work last week. I want to say Ravens D got like a touchdown though, which kept him off the field more. Game got out of hand a bit, but snaps are pretty much the same for Derrick Henry and Justice Hill. I don't really have any too hot takes at running back. Like I'm playing Henry, Mixon. They're very high owned. I'll be somewhere around there. Pacheco, Hunt, I like a lot. I like a good amount of Justice Hill. Maybe I guess that keeps me underweight Steelers running backs, which I don't necessarily love. I'll be playing them some of the price, but man, I think the Ravens put a beat down on these guys. I think my favorite Steelers when we get there, and it's gross, is like the Freiermuth, Calvin Austins. I don't even know if I like Van Jefferson, just the full punts, but I don't want too many Steelers on my team. But I do think the Steelers try and run the football. Do they have success is the question. It's really gross to say, but I think I might even be most overweight. Obviously, I'm not talking Mixon Henry.
Yeah.
On Kareem Hunt and Justice Hill. And those are backup running backs. So
Yeah.
I don't love the running back room.
Yeah, it's tough. And I mean, this is a good point too. It's like, I do like all these theories, but Houston does not really give it up on the ground. The problem is we have a 2-game slate. You don't have the luxury of really, analyzing the matchups all that much. I mean, you just
according to the Stone, though, look who they give it up more than anyone else on the ground, according to Stone.
Exactly. And that's why you're seeing the low ownership on all these running backs, because all these run defenses are good. And according to the Stone, the Chiefs running backs have the best matchup on the slate, which is kind of crazy to say. So even, not even talking about this situation, it's like when it comes to a 2-game slate, you just can't get that picky with like the matchups and the things like that. You just have no choice. I mean, again, you look around and based on this, the Chiefs guys have the best. And maybe Kareem Hunt is a guy. I mean, 6% owned, which is very, very low on the slate. He got 15 touches last week. 15 touches. It's a short week. It's another short week coming up. They play on Wednesday. He's definitely going to be involved today. There's no way it's like, all right, we're going all in on Pacheco today. Like, there's no way that's going to happen. So maybe Kareem Hunt at 5K is a better play. 6% ownership. Like, someone posted in there, like, he could easily find a touchdown today. 100% he could easily find a touchdown today. And got
245.
4 targets as well last week. So they're back to kind of using him in the passing game where he's been successful. After talking through this, I do like the Kareem Hunt play, but all these guys, though, I mean, 6% ownership. That's wild for a guy like Kareem. I got the same work as Pacheco. Pacheco 33%, him 6%. And he might have had more. He may have had more touches. What did I say? He did 14. Yeah, about the same. 14 touches for Pacheco. Kareem Hunt, 15 touches. So he actually got more work, more touches than Pacheco did last week. So I like that Kareem Hunt play now that we're kind of talking through it all here.
Yeah, and it's not like he's plus 245 to score. 9 from Kareem could be enough if like Derrick Henry gets you 17, Mixon gets you 16. But how roster construction wise go, like you need that savings if like Nico goes off, Lamar, etc. Like roster construction, just pricing wise. I think this is a good point, and I want to apply it to every situation. I don't think Texans you're worrying about it, but I think all 3 other teams, you can go Pacheco, Hunt, Derrick Henry, Justice Hill, Najee Harris, Jalen Warren. Do you think that's viable? Are there certain teams you'd be more fine with that than others? Are you completely crossing that off? Any thoughts on 2 running backs on the same team?
I'm fine with it. I wouldn't do it on the Steelers, though. I just don't want Najee, just because, again, how I think that game goes. Like, if you think it's a closer, more competitive game and the Steelers have success, then fine. But for me personally, I'm not going to get there with the Steelers side. It would be one or the other, and I think I just prefer Warren because I think the Ravens are going to beat their ass today. So, like, I'll take Warren and hope he catches some passes out of the backfield. But I'm fine with it on the Chiefs. Like, if they could go in and score 3 rushing touchdowns today and win the game 21-7, they're doing that 100 out of 100 times. And then the Ravens, we've seen it all season where, Derrick Henry can get it done. We've talked about Justice Hill a lot where like he can get it in a hurry, man, like 1-2 minute drill and he's there in terms of paying off his salary. So very good, dynamic. So I'm good with those 2 together, good with the Chiefs guys together, but the Steelers, I don't love it. Again, just because of how I think that game goes. If you think it goes differently, then you're probably fine with it. But for me, I just don't love it. I'll be definitely way underweight on Najee.
And I definitely don't myself. I have similar ownership, but any strong take on Mixon versus Henry? Very similar price tag. If people are debating, if you played Lamar, would you lean Mixon? CJ, would you lean Henry? Obviously, Mixon can catch passes. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, for me, it's Henry over Mixon, and it's just kind of going back to that same thing. I think the Ravens have a big game today. I think they show out. I think they win by a lot. So for me, it's going to be Henry, and ownership has a slight lean, it looks like, to Mixon. It looks like Mixon's going to be a little higher owned, but when you're up that high, the 60% range, it really doesn't matter. Like the 5 or 6% difference in ownership isn't a huge thing, but I would lean Henry.
I like it. That is the running back room. Plenty of talk there. I like position by position. I think it's the only way to go on a 2-game slate. So we're going to get into the wide receiver room. Almost 400 watching, though. Appreciate every single one. Hope you're enjoying your nice Saturday morning. 2 games ahead today. A lot of games ahead tomorrow. Monday Night Football. Next thing you know, Wednesday, football and basketball on Christmas Day. It is the same 4 teams, so get used to these 4 teams. They are playing, running it right back. It makes sense with rest days, schedule, etc. But yeah, we will be seeing these exact 4 teams on Christmas Day. Yeah, don't think I have anything else to add, but if you are new, joining us, got in late, and you want to join us at SHIPIT Nation, no better time to join. Already the best price and deal in the industry to make it even better during the holidays. Get 50% off all access. BF50 gets you 50% off. Does include Shiptimizer if you want that as well. College football going on, the bowl games, NBA, of course, big slate today. All of that is covered. All of our showdown content for the second game, our GPP core reports, cash report will be up. All of our content for the 2-game slate plan, core reports, player pools, etc. on the site. Definitely check it out if you just want football. Does include college football as well. $99 the rest of the season. Next year, $30 with Shiptimizer. Let's head to the wide receiver room hoop. And I know I mentioned from the top, nobody above 6K besides our man Nico Collins. Nico, pretty good at football, though. Grown man, coming in at 61%. I was going to say leading the ownership, but Zay Flowers at that price tag, $5,900. Those two, the most popular. I don't know if you want to just go like Texans, Chiefs, Steelers, Ravens, if you want to talk it all, but take the receiver room.
Yeah, I'll go through the teams and kind of talk through it. I think that's the best way to do it with the wide receivers. I mean, Nico Collins is in a pricing tier of his own by far. I mean, $8,100. It's a $2,200 drop off to the next playable guy. Pickens would have been next, but he's out. So down to Zay Flowers. Will that hold his ownership in check? Probably not, because like you said, it's very easy. Salary is very, very soft. Like all the tight ends are cheap. We have a couple expensive running backs, one expensive quarterback, a plethora of cheap options today. So the big boy price tag compared to the slate is not going to keep Nico Collins' ownership down. He's right there with those top running backs. Mixon, Derrick Henry, Nico Collins are all going to be in that 60% range in terms of ownership. He's a fine option. The guy's an absolute beast. I mean, I would have liked to see him, like what his stats looked like this year without the injury when he was out for a while, because he was just on a phenomenal pace. Are they playing from behind here? I mean, he should get fed, and I think he's a fine option. You can play him any sort of way, you can play him in a build where you're light on this game. Maybe you just have Pacheco on that side, Pacheco or Hunt, and then you have Nico on this side and maybe one other piece, but then you're loading up on like the Ravens or the Ravens-Steelers game, whatever it may be. You can just play him in so many different ways. You can pair him with Stroud, I think. He's totally fine. Tank Dell, I mean, it's been a very disappointing season, I'll say, for Tank Dell. I mean, he's got nothing going after a monstrous year last year. Keep thinking something's going to happen. It just has not happened. On a main slate, you probably don't get much of Tank Dell in this situation, but we're talking a 2-game slate. He's 5,100. Like, he has to be in the conversation today. And then, Robert Woods is kind of the number 3, and he actually got some work last week, or actually got some attention. I think it was, what did he get? Yeah, 2 targets, brought them both in. And he played, I know you love the snap stuff, it looks like 24 snaps, which was 3rd on the team. So he's a veteran. They can probably use him here down the stretch, use him in the playoffs. 3K flat, I'm good with him. So I'm kind of good with all 3 of these guys. Tank Dell is kind of right there with those KC wide receivers in terms of pricing. Hopkins and Xavier Worthy. Hopkins is 53, Worthy is 5K, and then Tank Dell's right there in the middle. Fine with all 3 of those guys. The Chiefs side, more difficult. I'd say probably the most difficult wide receiver situation to figure out. Hollywood Brown is going to play, and I'm assuming they just ease him in. All the projections are assuming they ease him in. He's projected for 5 fantasy points, but he's 3K flat. And the ownership on him is very low, 5%. Like, he's coming back. Like, they're going to give him some opportunities. Like, he's not going to just go out there and, do sprints up and down the field. Like, when he's out there, I think they try to get him the ball. So I am interested in him. Now, I mean, it's a 2 games on a full slate. Absolutely not. I wouldn't play Hollywood Brown. 2-game slate. Like, him going out there and getting 3 catches for 50 yards could be enough on this slate. 4 catches for 40 or something along those lines.
Him or Robert Woods, or I'll even throw Van Jefferson, Mike Williams there, who you haven't talked about yet.
It'd probably go Van Jefferson, then Hollywood Brown, then Robert Woods. Like I mean, can you imagine a scenario where like they go out there and he just doesn't get any, like he's going to get targeted today if he plays, right? I mean, that's my assumption.
I think they'll probably have like a designed play or two for him,
Correct.
But I think that's probably it. I'm not going to be playing Hollywood.
Really?
I hate Mahomes. Like I hate Mahomes.
Yeah.
He's just coming back, and they already rotate Juju, Watson, 2 tight ends, Worthy, D-Hop.
Well,
they have the running backs they want to run. But he's $3K and one design. Like, why is Robert Woods any better who could easily get you a 0? Like, Hollywood at least has the upside.
I guess let me rephrase this. Like, if I build my teams and I don't need a 3K wide receiver, I probably don't get there, right? Like, I probably don't play him. But if I build my teams and I need a 3K wide receiver to make sure I have enough, Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, I'm fine getting to him, I think, over like a guy like Robert Woods, I guess is the way that I'll put it. Like if I don't need it, I won't play it. But if I do need it, I'm fine playing a little bit. And I probably do prefer him over Woods is the proper way to answer that question.
Yeah, makes sense.
Worthy, DeAndre Hopkins, they're probably just necessities on the slate. I mean, 5,300 for Hopkins, 5K for Worthy. The ownership, though, is a big problem for me. Like, I think I'll be underweight on these guys. I mean, we're showing Worthy at 55% ownership. Like, I just can't imagine a world where I get to Worthy at 55. So it's going to, if that seems high, but I don't know. I mean, I'm curious to get your take on that. But like,
I might even be overweight. I
really?
hate D-Hop.
You love it. Okay.
I hate D-Hop and his ownership. Not that I'm fading, but I'm definitely going to be way underweight there. And I'm definitely going to be playing a lot of Worthy. It's clear as day. He's the wide receiver 1 there, like 80% of snaps, all the other ones rotating. And I've stroked this dude, it feels like all year. Yeah. He's just so fast, and one play gets there so many ways, whether it's an end around, a screen, etc. And again, I guess that I like him a lot, and I don't like Mahomes. Again, I'm not fading Mahomes, so maybe a lot more of my Worthy lineups have Mahomes, but I just think he can do it in so many ways on the slate. I don't like D-Hop, though, much.
Yeah. Man, I just struggle to get that high on Worthy. Where
I will say, I've been wrong. Like, these past couple of days, I keep – Gus Edwards, Cheeks, breaks the slates. Russell Wilson, no 400, breaks the slate. Lock Bijan. It's been a rough ride over here, so maybe fading me will be better in the short term. But
well, you just need these prices. I mean, the 5K for Worthy, I mean, that's probably why the ownership's so high. 53 for Hopkins. You're just going to land there a lot. So I don't know. I got to see when I fully build these teams, but I can't imagine playing like over 50% Worthy. We'll see. Hopkins, I'm a little more comfortable with Hopkins just because, man, it could be a slate where like 12 or 13 for a mid-tier wide receiver is enough. Like there's just, Tank Dell could bust. Worthy, again, you like him. I moderately like him. Like he does have a low floor. Like Hopkins could have a game where he goes, 6 catches for 70 yards or 60 yards, and that really could be enough on the slate. And Hollywood Brown, we already talked about him. Juju, I don't think I'm really gonna go there. At what is he, 30, 36?
36, yeah. I mean, it's just like, what do you think Hollywood coming back does to the Watson, the Jujus, the Hops, like 51% of snaps is good, but if Hollywood's playing, he's going to be eating into those guys not named Worthy. And this is interesting too. I didn't even know this. So then maybe that has something to do with it. I think they'd rather give up a high pick and get to the Super Bowl and win, but I mean, who knows? Like, it is kind of weird. DeAndre Hopkins is rotating with Justin Watson, Juju, like the same. Maybe there is some merit to that. Yeah,
that is interesting. I did not know that, but I guess that might be the reason why they're kind of slowing them down a little bit and, bringing in Hollywood Brown. It could be even less today. So that is definitely something to consider. But again, on a 2-game slate, we can't be super picky. The wide receiver room in Pittsburgh is ugly as it gets. I mean, Calvin Austin, WR1, that's crazy. 3,800. Van Jefferson, Mike Williams. Ooh, man, it's not exciting plays, and that's obviously why we're not loving Russell Wilson today. But again, 2-game slate, probably got to play some of these guys. Calvin Austin is going to be the highest owned cheap wide receiver on the slate. I mean, what do you have the props up on there by chance?
Yeah, let me pull it up quick.
It was 5 for 65 last week. Like it's gross. He had 4 targets the week before, only caught one of them. Again,
37 and a half, three and a half catches, minus 170 on the under, and then 37 and a half receiving yards.
Yeah, so
he's
not
40%. That's the crate. That's
big
crazy.
ownership. I mean, it's probably one of those situations. It's probably a necessity on this slate. It'll make things work. It'll make more Lamar work. It'll make more Derrick Henry, Joe Mixon, Nico Collins. It'll make all that work much easier, but it's not comfortable. The floor is 0. I mean, the floor is 0. Van Jefferson, 3,300. Showing 6% ownership. I imagine he probably is the one that gets the most ownership, right, of the cheap guys at 33. Like, he's wide receiver 2. We're showing 6%. I just feel like that's going to be a little bit higher. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, maybe a little bit higher. Maybe Austin a little down. I don't even know. People will go Austin. Maybe Van Jefferson's a little higher. But at the end of the day, if you like him to an extent, I would play him. I wouldn't worry about it too much. But I do agree. If we'd be light then heavy, I think, on that ownership.
Yeah. Either way, I mean, he's and then Mike Williams, obviously, it's a one-play thing. Like, are they trailing? Do they throw him a bomb? Does he catch it? Very likely that he doesn't catch it because, again, he's not very good at catching the actual football. But he is 3,700. I think he's fine in, like, Ravens heavy teams where you're playing like a Ravens blowout situation and you're just loading up. Maybe you have Lamar, Derrick Henry, and Zay Flowers, and you need some cheap guys. Like, I'm fine playing Mike Williams. Like, if they're trailing, like, they'll give him a couple shots for sure. So I don't hate him in those sort of teams, but I definitely don't want to be like overweight Mike Williams. And then on the Ravens side, the one injury situation that we have to monitor, and it's in the second game, so there's a chance we don't have it before lock, is Rashad Bateman. It sounds like the assumption is that he's going to be in, but the injury was midweek. There are some reports that he's in like a walking boot, like in the locker room. He says we used a walking boot in the locker room Thursday morning and in the afternoon. Adds concern. There hasn't been any update at all. And then they asked Jim Harbaugh, and he said nothing to report on any of that stuff. So kind of a dicey situation.
You got to assume he's in with props up.
Yeah, right.
And everything going. But yeah, this is a good call. But not everyone wants 4 receivers in the flex today. I don't want too many 4 receivers in the flex. Yeah. So you have that Aguilar pivot right there. The Austin Jefferson 2v2s, 3v3s, maybe think ahead. But I mean, I'm going to be building like it's Bateman. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, and you got to be ready to make the adjustment. It's the only significant news we're kind of waiting on for the slate. I mean, I'm going to have them in. And then if I have to make some pivots, I'm fine. You have a lot of pivots. I mean, at that point, you're not worried about salary. You can go right down to likely. I mean, that would be probably my preference, to be honest with you. If Bateman's out and you do have him in the flex position, I would prefer to go to likely at 33. Like, I think he gets a lot of additional reps. Like, he has the connection with Lamar Jackson. And at that point, salary doesn't matter. And his 2-game slate, so that salary doesn't matter. But you got Justice Hill right there. You got Aguilar. You got Tylan Wallace. You can
Aguilar
go with. Out? I think he's in, right? Oh, no, he is out. Okay, so yeah, that would be. When did that?
That's big. I don't know why that. I got to message the team. Tylan Wallace would be by far. Like, if you just have the wide receiver, I mean, I don't know why he's in. Tylan Wallace by far would be a really good pivot there. Like you said, likely if you have the
flex. I think it's likely. I mean, likely would be my favorite at that point. I'm good with likely. I like likely regardless of the situation. Like, they're clearly going to be a little thin now at wide receiver with Aguilar out. Like, I'm good with likely regardless. But, man, if Bateman's out, I think likely is a phenomenal play. Probably a boost for Justice Hill as well, a boost for Zay Flowers. But Zay Flowers is already getting the huge ownership. 63% just because of how cheap he is, and especially how cheap he is compared to Nico Collins. I mean, there's one true wide receiver one on the slate is Nico Collins. The second true wide receiver one on the slate is Zay Flowers, and he's way, way cheaper. So he's in that 60% ownership group with Nico, with Derrick Henry, with Joe Mixon. It is crazy. All the highest owned skill position guys are in just two teams, like the Texans and the Ravens. So it's definitely something to keep an eye on, though, the Bateman thing. And I don't know if there's any updates that come through. I haven't checked, obviously, when we're on the show, but the news has been very quiet, which is kind of crazy because it's only a 2-game slate. And a lot of times we have more information on these smaller slates because these insiders are digging a little deeper, but there's been nothing on Bateman. So it wouldn't surprise me if he's out. Wouldn't surprise me if he's in. All projection sites right now kind of have him in. So I'm going to build under the assumption that he's in, but I'll be ready to make the changes if he's out. And then for me personally, like I said, the biggest boost is likely, and Mark Andrews. We didn't talk about Mark Andrews at all. I love Mark Andrews on the slate at 4,300. It is crazy that, tight end is probably the strongest position on this slate, which is wild. And we're about to get into that position as it stands now. But the Bateman stuff's the one piece of significant news on the slate.
Yeah, and again, message the team. Aguilar will be out here. Bateman, if he's out, and again, if you have him in the flex, Andrews likely, you can definitely pivot to. Otherwise, I think Tylan Wallace, and again, that's $1,800 right there. You can have 2v2s, 3v3s if you want to upgrade. Otherwise, you can leave $1,800 for sure on a 2-game slate like this. Wallace's projection would come way up. Not that it would necessarily be like Bateman's, but he would step into that big wide receiver 2 role. I don't have too much at receiver. Nico, Tank, I think are great plays. Robert Woods, I will be using maybe 5%, like in only a couple teams. We haven't projected for even less than that. Not hard to get overweight. And just surely when I'm jamming, maybe my Woods teams would be like, I'm going CJ, I'm going Nico, maybe Woods. I do prefer him with my quarterback because if he somehow does get you like 13, 14, CJ's probably having a better game than expected. Chiefs side, I talked about it though. Probably my biggest stance. I do like Worthy, but I don't like Hop. I won't be playing Hollywood. I won't be playing Juju. So it's really just Worthy, Pacheco, Hunt, Kelsey. I mean, we'll get to the tight ends, but it's not D-Hop as much. It's not Hollywood. Steelers side, man. I mean, this ownership, you can't not play Calvin Austin if you're playing a good amount of teams because of the price. And he did lead the receiving room in snaps. Him and Van Jefferson by far, like 80%. So these two are the preferred plays. I think I'd prefer Van Jefferson, I guess, at ownership. Like 500 less and like 1/5 of the ownership. I think it probably is Jefferson in a vacuum if having to choose at this ownership. I don't like any Steelers really, though, in the wide receiver room. Like 37.5 is Austin's receiving prop. I think Jefferson's was like 16.5. I think the wide receiver room is probably the worst on the slate, and I think it's just really concentrated. I want to jam Nico. I want to jam Worthy. That's why it's a big boy ownership, but at that price tag, and I just hate the other ones, I'm doing it. I'm jamming Chalk Zay, so I'm getting different with Hunt stuff, Justice Hill stuff. I will like Bateman too. I guess like with the unknowns and uncertainty, and I don't like pretty much anything else, props are up. I'm going to expect him to play. I will be playing Bateman. I'm playing a lot of Lamar. He looks like a pretty good way. He's less owned. This likely ownership, I think we might be a little light, but by far less than Flowers, less than Derrick Henry. Leverage there. I will be playing Lamar. You can play Lamar, Zay, Bateman. Like there's so many ways you can go about Lamar stuff. I'm playing a lot of him. I'm definitely going to have the wide receiver too. Wallace, I probably won't have any other wide receiver for the Ravens if Bateman is in, though. Just those two. They were on a lot of 12 personnel with Andrews likely there. So, yeah, I mean, I think the chalk is good chalk. I will be, besides D-Hop, he's the one showing above like 35% that I will be a good bit underweight on. My receiving pool is going to be tight, though, because I hate these Steelers guys. I hate pretty much everyone outside of Worthy here. I don't like Woods, but he naturally has to be in the pool. And then, yeah, Zay, Bateman, and no one else on the Ravens. So anything else when I went through it that you thought about receiver? Otherwise, take us into tight end, which 2 tight ends will be popular. I think it is a very strong build. It allows you, because of their pricing, to spend up for the Nikos, Derrick Henrys, Joe Mixons, Lamars of the world, where they get you 25. You probably want them today.
Yeah, I think it'll be popular. The one area, though, I think can keep it in check is like when people hand build, I think they're still hesitant to go 2 tight ends. Like if you're in an optimizer, you're going to get a lot of it today because these guys are showing up as some of the best value on the slate. But if you are hand building, like people sometimes will tend to avoid it. I mean, there's like a negative connotation, double tight end. People don't love it, but it's the strongest position on the slate, which is just wild to say. And multiple teams where you have multiple tight ends in play on a 2-game slate. That's crazy. Starting with the Texans, Dalton Schultz, 3,400, very cheap. I mean, obviously, big time bias here. I mean, I always like Dalton Schultz, and it hasn't worked out very well this season. Like he's had one big game, 17 against Jacksonville. Besides that, just nothing. But he still is heavily targeted in this offense. I mean, it's been a lot of duds, but going back like 6 or 7 weeks here, I mean, you can kind of go back all season. 5, 5, 6, 8, 2, 6, 6, 4, 7, 2, 7, 4. Like he gets targets in this offense, 3,400. I think he's a strong play coming in at as he like 17%. So really like him. Chiefs side, obviously know the story. Travis Kelce, 5,600. It's a cheap price tag. He's probably the highest owned at the position. Easy to fit him in at 56. Like you don't have to sacrifice much to play him at all. Totally fine getting to him. And then you have Noah Gray, who's had big games this season at 3,200. Only like 5% owned, but it makes a lot of work. The reason that you're seeing the 60% ownership on so many guys is because of the tight end position and the value that it offers up. It's just very simple. You don't have anywhere to really spend. The most expensive is Kelce, but he's not really that expensive at 56. So tight end position is going to make everything work on the slate. Pat Freiermuth has to be probably the best pass catcher in this offense, 3,900. He's obviously going to get some ownership, but he's a totally fine play. It's a really cheap price tag for him. I mean, you could almost make the case that he is the wide receiver 1 in this offense, and he's been good lately. I mean, in terms of just fantasy production, the last 4, 10, 18, 13, 11, like 12 could win the position today. We like the position, don't get me wrong, but 12 could clearly win the position, especially at his price tag, or it could win flex. Like, I mean, if Kelce goes off and then you have Freiermuth in the flex, like him getting 12 or 13 could be enough. So very, very strong play on the slate. And then you could potentially make the case for Darnell Washington. Like they use him a lot. Dude's an absolute beast. I mean, I don't know his actual size, but he is a freaking monster out there. When he gets the ball, it is hard to tackle the dude. Hasn't done shit lately, but at 2,600, like I don't know, I don't mind taking a couple shots on him. Not like I'm playing 5% Washington, but again, if I go in there and build and I need more cheap guys, like I'm fine playing a little bit of him in my 150. If I'm hand building, if I'm playing 20 teams, like not touching Darnell Washington, but in 150, I don't hate it, to be honest with you. And then we kind of already touched on the Ravens situation. Andrews, I think, is a very, very strong play on the slate. I think he's 4,300. Love him. I think it's just way too cheap. Makes a lot work. He's been very good in terms of fantasy points. 18, had a stinker against Pittsburgh. But then 15, 18, 10, he's finding the end zone. Touchdowns, I mean, so many freaking touchdowns. Got 8 touchdowns, and all of them have kind of come the last couple months of the season. So I think he's a great play. And I'm good with Likely regardless, but if Bateman's out, I like Likely a lot. Probably not going to have that news before lock, so I'm just going to play a lot of Likely regardless because the ownership is low. It's looking like we have it at like 7%. I'm going to play a lot of Likely regardless. And then if Bateman's out, it's a bonus. I'm going to have Bateman teams, and a lot of my Bateman shares will just go to Likely as well. So I'm going to, either way, I'll be overweight on Likely today. So 6 solid tight end plays. And then I think a fringe one, Darnell Washington, just in like 150 stuff, like small amount of ownership. He's going to be unowned, but it's a very, very strong position. And like someone said earlier, in the show, like I want to play 4 tight ends today, and I don't blame them because I would too if I could.
Absolutely. At their price, they all feel really strong. Tight end's really easy for me. I do think we're probably light on both Andrews and Likely ownership. Maybe even Lamar ownership. Like I do think these Ravens get a little bit, but I mean, they're my 2 favorite tight ends on the slate. I'm playing a bunch of Lamar. I think they roll. Two very viable tight ends that can break slates. You can play them both together. A lot of ways to go about it. So, like, why can't you play Kelsey? Drop down to Andrews or Likely. You leave 1K, 2K. Why can't they outscore him in a vacuum? So, Ravens by far my favorite. Second favorite, probably Dalton Schultz, because CJ Stroud will be my next highest quarterback. I'm fine with him, though. It's not like I'm in love. My next probably favorite is Noah Gray at ownership. My least favorite is Travis Kelce. I mean, it's just been so gross for him. And I'm going to continue telling the story of the Chiefs run the football. They take the arrow to the ball. They play from home at home. They don't throw the ball as much. I want to be underweight on these pass catchers, like 35%. If I go 15%, I can get overweight on Andrews, Gray, Likely, Schultz. Just a lot easier that way. So Kelsey's by far my least favorite. Him and Hop, if they're on the winner, my track record in the past week, they will be on the winner if you want to go that way. But I'll be under there for sure. Freiermuth, I definitely like him. I'm worried he might get a little steam. I'm going to play him, though, for sure, because I just think all these other Steelers pretty much stink. You think someone probably does something. They're going to be trailing. He's had a good rapport with Russell Wilson. So I do like Freiermuth, but I do prefer Andrews, Likely as my favorites. But yeah, Kelsey by far my least favorite. So it's Andrews, Likely, Schultz, Freiermuth, Noah Gray. That's 5 main tight ends for me. And again, I'm not fully fading Kelsey. The price tag is good, but I will be underweight, no doubt about that. And that's the same story. I'm underweight Mahomes, underweight D-Hop, not playing Hollywood Brown, Juju, and that's why I like the running backs as well. So paint a picture, tell yourself a story kind of when you're building out for a 2-game slate in your portfolio. Anything else at the tight end position, Hoop? Otherwise, take us to defenses, which is always a crapshoot. We see right here, big ownership on the Chiefs. Ravens coming in number 2. Texans and Steelers not showing much. Any hot takes? You playing them all? What are you doing at the defense?
Yeah, I mean, just anything can kind of happen at the defensive position. We know the Ravens are going to be popular. It's going to be easy to play them in a good spot. Big favorites at home. The Chiefs are, they're 2,700. They're favored at home. I think this pricing kind of came out when the Chiefs were underdogs because they thought Mahomes was gonna miss. Well, he's in. Now the line is flipped and they're cheap. So majority of the ownership's coming there. Like whatever I get here, I'm fine with. Like I'm going to make sure, obviously, I get a lot of Ravens because I think the Ravens kick their ass. And then like the rest, like kind of whatever. I mean, I'm fine with even the Texans. I think they're interesting. The Texans at 3,100. I mean, they're definitely going to be third in terms of ownership. Because it looks like a little bit of a spend. They're underdogs. I'll make sure to have some of them. I mean, if Mahomes is a little not mobile today, could be more sacks for the Chiefs. Full disclosure, I think Mahomes is totally fine, and that's probably not the case today. But just because of the pricing and the ownership, I'm fine getting them. And like the Steelers, like whatever. If I get some, I get some. With defense, it's such a high variance position. One play could, be the defense that you need. One pick six, one kickoff return, one fumble recovery for a touchdown. Who the hell knows? So whatever I get, I get.
And I'm totally with you. My favorite Ravens. I think they stopped the Steelers. Yeah. I'll probably be underweight Chiefs just because their pricing. They're just too cheap. Very volatile position. Easier to go underweight there. I do think Texans are interesting. If they get behind, like if Mahomes' ankle is worse than we think, and he's limited. Yeah, obviously Texans can tee off on them. Only 3.5-point dogs. What if they drop out 14-0? Probably not good for me over here. Again, I'm going to be underweight Chiefs stuff. They pin their ears back and have 3 quarters to get after Mahomes, and his ankle's not fully good. You're overspending them, so I think that's fine. I'm playing some Steelers, but because of one play, anything can happen. Definitely don't like the Steelers, though, in a vacuum, since I like a lot of Lamar. Awesome stuff, Hoop. Always enjoy talking these 2-game slates. Again, all of our content is up for NFL. We will have showdown core reports for the afternoon game. Prize pools are great on both sites. We showed the Stone GPP core report all up, cash report all up, player pool from our man Hoop, slate plan from Tambo. And yeah, college football, definitely make sure a lot of good college football games in the coming days. All of our content, if you do want the all access, PGA will be back soon. NBA, big slate tonight, always going on. Shout out to the NHL team. Big nades. MMA will be back pretty shortly again. We do have BF50 if you want all access, gets you 50% off your first month. Let me pull up the graphic. Also, if you want Shiptimizer, that is included. You can use that BF50 promo code with Shiptimizer or without Shiptimizer. Just want NFL, that's all you play, or college football, $99 for the rest of the season. A lot of small slates, playoffs, small slates, showdown content, 2-gamer today, 2-gamer next Saturday, 2-gamer Christmas Day. So much money to be made, and I love how big these prize pools are every single time. Always enjoy doing these shows with you, Hoop. I will see you tomorrow, so I won't say Merry Christmas yet, but any final thoughts on this slate? Anything you want to tell the people before we get on out of here?
Yeah, fun 2-game slate. Obviously, just wanted to thank everyone that tuned in. We had a lot of people watching today, and as we always say, we appreciate the YouTube community and the support, and growing this channel means a lot to us. If you could just hit that like and subscribe on the way out, that's the one way they can definitely help us. But yeah, let's get the job done today, and then we'll circle back tomorrow morning and talk through the main slate. It's a fun time for NFL. A lot of slates, a lot of small slates. We got the main slates, so just make sure to tune in tomorrow morning, 9:45 Eastern. We'll be back breaking down the main slate.
Good luck today, everybody. Enjoy this nice, beautiful Saturday. Let's make some money tonight. Do not forget about late swap. Anything changes, we will let everybody know in Discord. Hit the thumbs up. Hit the subscribe on the way out. Good luck tonight, everybody. For Hoop, I'm Titletown. Peace. Be safe.